Three, two, one.
You ready?
You're listening to the Real Pineapple Podcast Network. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Real Pineapple. This is your humble host, Hunter, here. Hope you guys are having a great week so far. So I've got a review here for Spree, which is the new Joe Carey vehicle. You could, of course, know Joe Carey from Stranger Things playing Steve, and I will just say, while not Farrah Fawcett hair, his hair looks fantastic in this. His hair just, bravo, sir. This is written by Gene McHugh and a Eugene, I'm going to butcher this, Kotlarenko. Kotlarenko is what I'm going to go with. Gene McHugh, this is his debut as a screenwriter, this film. And then Eugene, he wrote and directed a film called Wobble Palace, which got good reviews. So this came onto my radar just because I got an email from the film board I'm on, and as you guys know, if you've listened to the podcast for any certain amount of time, I'm a big fan of these kind of more indie, more quiet films. And I really didn't even see a trailer for this. I just saw the poster and went, okay, this seems interesting. So, the very basic synopsis of this, and I'm going to be honest, guys, I'm going to try to dance around some stuff here. So, if there's a complaint I have about the movie, and actually, I kind of have to retract that because it's not about the film. I think the trailer that I just watched, which is the only trailer available for the film, I thought it gave away more than I personally would like it to. This is one of those things I went in cold to it, and I think you'll enjoy it more if you don't know too much about it. So I honestly wouldn't watch the trailer. So really all you need to know is Kurt is a wannabe social media influencer. He really wants to go ahead and just, be one of those Instagram, Facebook influencers. He has a channel that he's always pushing, Kurt's World 96. That is ingrained into my brain after watching this movie. If you take a shot or take a drink every time he says Kurt's World 96, you're gonna be a little drunk. But he wants to go ahead and have this social media empire. But he does rideshare, so like Uber. What's the other one? Oh my gosh! Why can't I think of? I haven't taken an Uber in so long because of COVID. Wow! I cannot think of the other ride. Lyft. There we go. That was it. But he has decided to go ahead and has this new way to go viral, which he's calling The Lesson. So what he does is he decks out his car with cameras from multiple angles. I think he has like 6 or 8 cameras in the car. And he basically goes ahead and starts murdering his passengers. And again, I'm going to dance around this quite a bit. So here's the thing about this movie. It's a very interesting concept, and I think it's a very great critique on social media as a whole. This is a movie I would show someone before I showed them Ingrid Goes West. I think it would be a great double feature to go ahead and do this with Ingrid. The movie's biggest problem is that at 92 minutes, it is a little short, but I also think that with a film like this, given the concept, I don't think you can stretch this to 2 hours. And I actually think it falls right in that good middle ground of, okay, it knows what it's trying to be, but it's not it's not trying to stretch itself to fit 2 hours, which I think is actually probably the smartest thing that the writer and the director could have done. So Kurt is just an asshole. Let's just call it what it is. Yeah, who doesn't want to be a social media influencer? I mean, it's a very interesting notion of, where people get their self-worth. I mean, you could make the argument itself that, so much of people's self-esteem, especially, in our younger generation, is tied into social media. It's tied into likes. It's tied into comments. Like, I remember when MySpace was first becoming a thing, and I would post something profound or something I thought was profound for my 15-year-old ass, and if I only got a couple likes, I'd go, oh, what the hell? Like, it's a really interesting notion, and I love the way that even the passengers, rightfully so, there were multiple passengers early in the beginning who were kind of like, all right, why do you have all these cameras and everything? The way that he is getting his victims is pretty devious, but it's pretty brilliant. He is taking a syringe. They don't say what it is. I think it's just like a tranquilizer, and he's poking a hole in the label of the water that he gives his passengers, and just has the water, in the back seat like Ubers and Lyfts do. So when the person drinks it, he goes ahead and just takes them off somewhere. And if there is a complaint, there's a older gentleman. Not even an older gentleman, but an older gentleman early in the film, and then there's a real estate agent, female. I believe it's the second passenger, and they don't really show what happens to them. Actually, I think they do with the guy, not with the girl. That I do remember, and that was something I kind of was like, well, that's a loop I kind of would have liked to have closed, because while this film, like I said, I think this film is edgier than people are going to give it credit for. The problem is there's not a huge concept on time frame, meaning, we don't know if Kurt, woke up one day and just said, oh, I'm going to go ahead and do this. The lesson hashtag, it does lend more credibility to the film, because, he's using a quote actual hashtag to go ahead and try to get his name out there. But I would have actually appreciated if it's presumably done over a day, but I almost wish this would have been stretched out a little more to be taking place maybe over a week or something like that, just to kind of show how much psychologically he's breaking down. I think the film does a good job of that anyway, but I think it would have added a little more gravity to it if he had actually, been doing this for a little longer than just the presumed day. So that's just kind of a personal gripe, but the film does kind of hit this second gear when Joe picks up this guy whose name, I think it's Mario, I want to say, but he picks up this dude, and he picks him up, but then he goes ahead and picks up this girl, Jessie, who's played by Shishiro Zamata, who you've seen before. A lot of people probably remember her as Tasha from I Feel Pretty. She was the one thing about that movie I actually liked. And then, of course, if you have seen the film Slight, if you haven't, I'd really recommend it. It's actually a good flick. She was really great in there. And for me, this is kind of her coming out party, because she is a social media influencer. She's a stand-up comedian, and Kurt picks her up, and how their stories kind of intertwine, especially as the film progresses. Again, trying to stay away from spoilers here. I love what she does with her character. She has a monologue at a point in the film. You'll know it when you see it. And she even herself talks about how social media is an influence on her, because, she is a comedian who is, famous. And I love the way that she's portrayed. It's not, how do I put this? There is that stereotype, haha, women aren't funny, but her stand-up here is actually really fucking good. I really enjoyed everything that she did, and she, even on her dramatic beats, really brought it. And there are a couple scenes with her and Kurt that get very intense. There is a character named who's played by Josh Ovell, named Bobby, and he used to be babysat by Kurt, but Bobby has a whole social media influence. I don't recall if they say in the film, but I believe they say that he's actually getting paid for his social media influence, and the kid's like 16. That's something that I love that the film does touch on is the envy of people in your inner circle, or just the envy of people that you know who might have a larger social media influence. And you could sub that, that social media influence in for, more money or better clothes or, whatever would apply to you. And the whole film itself is a critique not just on social media but on greed and not being satisfied, not being fulfilled. I personally think that's going to be a mirror that a lot of people will not want to look at, because again, it does give a very ugly image at points, and the movie does not shy away from that. The last 30 minutes of this film in particular, and again, not going to say what happens, but the last 30 minutes I thought was just awesome. I thought everything ramped up incredibly intensely. I think everything felt very raw and about as real as it could, given the circumstances. There are just some twists and turns that this film does take that I was very impressed by. And again, that's why I'm saying please do not watch the trailer if you want to go in cold, because I think you're going to enjoy and appreciate this film more going in cold. David Arquette is Kurt's dad, Chris, and I gotta say, man, David Arquette, he's been putting in work between doing pro wrestling on the indie circuit and donating the money. David Arquette needs to get some props, and I dug the hell out of him in this. Him and Joe have great chemistry, and where their story ends up, I loved it. I really love how grim things get. I love where the movie ends up, and I don't know if you guys saw, but there was a kid in I want to say I think it's Wisconsin, but 18-year-old kid was doing exactly what Kurt is doing in the film, but doing it in real life, and it's crazy that it seems like this kid aligned with Kurt so much in his way of thinking. And it does also point out the way that we treat killers, how we almost glamorize them, and I love the way the film touches on that as well. Again, this is a weird year. I mean, I don't know if this will be in my top 10. I mean, Lord knows what will come out for the rest of the year, but this is a solid flick that if you like more of these kind of tweaks on horror, I think this is something that you'll really dig. It's well worth your time. Again, it's 92 minutes. It flies by. Like, I feel like I blinked and it was over. There is a really cool scene with Misha Barton, who it was a pleasant surprise to see her. I was like, oh, okay. She's in this for a little bit. And I thought her role and her scenes were actually really good. So I'm gonna give this a solid B+. I thought this was a lot of quote fun unquote, but it's something that I think people will take away something from it, whether it's the pretty brutal gore effects, some of the deaths in here, again, not spoiling, but there are a couple deaths in here I went, oh shit, this film's gonna rattle some people, and I think it is a very opportune time to go ahead and look at how we look at ourselves on social media, how we present ourselves on social media. The film does a really good job of asking those questions, and it's kind of up to us to answer them. So I really enjoyed this. So solid B+ for me. But everyone, have you seen Spree? Let us know what you thought in the comments below. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter at jhunterrealpineapple. You can go ahead and follow Scott on Twitter at Nearman1st. You can follow us on, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can find us on Apple and Google Podcasts, Podbean, SoundCloud, iHeart, and Stitcher Radio, Tune Up, and Spotify at The Real Pineapple. And don't forget to like us at The Real Pineapple. Guys, thank you so much for listening. We'll have reviews up here this week for Central Park Season 1, which I am so excited to talk about. We'll have reviews up for The Umbrella Academy Seasons 1 and 2. And we'll also have a review up for Harley Quinn season 1 here soon. So excited to talk about that as well, because that's on HBO Max now. But please stay safe out there, guys. Wear a mask, take care of each other, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.